All right, folks. Ready to journey back to Middle Earth.
You know, one wrong step and it's all
Today
over.
we're diving deep into one fan's thoughts on the Rings of Power, Episode 4, The Great Wave.
In a nutshell, at least from what we're seeing in
This episode, well,
libra1copia.pdf.
it's making waves
chapters
online,
1 through
let's just
11.
say that.
Oh, I bet.
And our
Today
source
we are
today
diving into a
definitely
world
doesn't
that's
hold
got
back on their
danger
opinions.
written all
Sounds like
over
we're in
it,
for a lively
literally.
discussion.
Right off
They
the
have a lot
bat,
to say
you
about
get
the
this sense of
pacing, how the story's
claustrophobia,
unfolding,
a city
even
pushing
questioning
right up
some
against
choices
this
with
massive
characters.
wall.
Intriguing.
And that
But
wall,
hey,
it's
it's
not
not
just there
all
for
negative.
decoration.
They also
Definitely
point
not.
out some
More like
truly shining
holding
moments.
back a
so.
tidal
All right,
wave
let's
of
hear it.
what's got this fan fired up? Something.
Well, they really hit on something a lot of us
within the
fantasy
city, you've got
fans
this
feel.
fascinating
Like
dynamic
when a show
playing
takes
out.
its sweet
On
time
one
to
hand,
get
you've got the
going.
Aspadations.
Yeah, I know
They're
that
like
feeling.
these
4
super
episodes
soldiers who
in, you're
actually
like,
get
come on,
stronger the
already.
closer they are to the wall.
And they even
It's
compare
wild.
it to
Like the wall is leeching
well,
away magic
Game
and
of
they're soaking
Thrones.
up
Oh,
all
wow,
that
the
power.
gold standard of
Precisely.
fantasy
And
epics.
they've
Right.
got their
And they're
own
saying the Great
ranking
Wave is
system,
stuck
these
in first
circles
gear,
and
way too
classes.
much talking,
The
not
higher the
enough
circle,
action.
the
I see. So
deadlier
they're
they
missing
are.
that sense
And
of
within
adventure,
each
that
circle,
forward
you've
momentum.
got different
That's
classes,
it.
each with its
They
own
even
unique
point out that
fighting
Game of
style
Thrones,
and
known for
techniques.
its political
So it's like a
stuff, lots of
superpowered
dialogue,
martial arts tournament
that
happening
worked for that world.
24/7.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones was
now,
all
on the
about
other side of this
those
equation,
intricate
You've got
power
the
plays,
mages.
those
who
whispered
are,
conversations
to put it
in
mildly,
dimly lit rooms.
not
But
having a
for
good
Tolkien
time near
near
this
this
world. Our source argues,
Imagine
it just
trying to
doesn't fit.
breathe underwater. That's
Tolkien
what it's
is
like
all
for them
about
trying to use magic
exploration,
anywhere
grand
near
battles,
Prada
that
Dumar.
epic scale.
Every spell is
They
a
feel like
gamble.
the show's trying to be something
And like the
it's not,
Aspadations,
maybe.
they're ranked
And they
in
get pretty
circles based
specific
on
with
their
their
power.
criticisms too.
But out
They
here,
even
it's like their
call
power
out
is on
Galadriel
layaway.
for get
It
this
creates this really
diplomatic
interesting power
stupidity.
struggle.
Oh,
The very
my.
presence
Strong
of the wall
words.
throws
Right.
everything we think we know
It
about
made me
magic
laugh
and
too,
might
but
on
you can
its
tell
head.
this reviewer
And
is
into this powder keg.
well, not exactly
walks
Team
Adam, our
Galadriel.
protector.
Sounds like
A mage,
Galadriel's
no
actions
less.
in this
Talk
episode
about
really
rubbing
rubbed
the
them
wrong
You'd think
way.
they'd
And
send
they're not
someone
alone.
a
A lot of
more
folks online are
immune to
scratching
their
their
heads
local
at some of her
environment.
decisions.
It's always
But
tough
Adam,
when beloved characters
He's
get
different.
adapted for the
He's
screen.
fascinated by the wall, by its
Balancing
history.
faithfulness to the
You can
source
almost see
material
the
with,
gears turning in
you know,
his
the
head,
needs of a TV
trying
show.
to unravel
It's a
its
tricky
secrets.
thing.
And
I mean, he's
speaking of things that are
practically
tricky, the
drooling
reviewer
over those
also
ancient
takes issue with
stones.
the episode's
He's desperate to
structure,
understand
the whole
how it
jumping
works,
around
where it
between
came from.
storylines.
He's a
The
scholar
juggling
at
act
heart,
of multiple
as much
narratives,
as he is an
right?
investigator.
True.
Some viewers love
But
that
let's not
variety.
forget, he's here on a
Others,
job.
not so much.
A group of
This
cadets has gone
reviewer
missing.
definitely in
vanished
the
without a
not
trace.
so much
And the
camp.
only clue
They
is
think
a
the episode
magical
would have been
token
way
used to access
stronger
the
with a
land
more
beyond the
focused
wall.
approach.
Makes
which is
sense.
just asking for
Too many
trouble, if you
threads
ask
can
me.
sometimes make it hard to
absolutely.
follow,
But back to
lose that
Adam.
emotional
With
connection.
his magic on a
And
short
to add to
leash,
the confusion,
he's got to rely
they're
on his
not
wits,
quite
his
sure
powers
about
of
the
deduction.
timeline,
Which
like how much
thankfully
time has
are quite
actually
impressive.
passed since the
He's
last
observant,
episode.
meticulous,
Things
the
seem to
kind
be
of guy who
happening so
notices the
quickly.
dust bunny
I've
in the
noticed
corner
that
and knows
too.
exactly
A bit of a
when it
time
got
jump
there.
that's not super clear.
Every detail,
Yeah,
every
and the
word,
reviewer
every
picks up
raised
on that. They
eyebrow
point out moments where
is
it's
a
like, wait,
clue
how did we
for
get
this guy.
here?
And
But
honestly, I
he's
felt
not
that
alone.
too sometimes. The powers
a
that
bit of a
be
head
have assigned
scratcher,
him a,
Especially for those
let's say,
not as familiar
guide.
with the deeper
If by
lore.
guide you mean
Okay,
walking
so
arsenal,
we've covered the
then
negatives, but
Meet
remember,
Italia,
there's good
the
stuff too.
Espadagium,
The reviewer
assigned to
has
keep
some
Adam
definite
in one
highlights.
piece.
Oh, good.
She is
I was hoping for some silver
intimidating,
linings.
to
What
say the
caught
least.
their
The
eye?
kind of person
Well,
who
three
could clear a
things,
room with a
actually.
single look.
Theo's
She's like a
story,
silent storm,
what's happening in
always
Khazad-dûm,
watching,
and
always
drum
alert,
roll, please,
and fiercely
the
loyal,
introduction of
especially
Adar.
to her guardian,
Adar,
Olga,
the
who
villain.
runs this tavern
All right,
that's,
let's dive into that. What
well,
makes
it's
him so
more
special?
than just a tavern.
Well,
Our
it's the
source
heart
is
of the
just
city, a
captivated
place
by
where
him.
rumors
And you know
are
why.
traded
He's
like
not your
currency.
typical
And
mustache
Olga, she's the
twirling,
queen
evil
of this
for evil's
underworld.
sake
And she's got
villain.
wisdom to spare.
so they're
Especially when it
intrigued by
comes
his
to Prada
complexity.
Dumar After Dark.
A villain
like,
with
don't leave
layers,
the
huh?
house kind of
Exactly.
Even
They
the
call him
toughest
atypical,
atypical,
pointing out
think
how his
twice about
motivations
patrolling the streets at
are
night.
well
And these
deeper
are
than
people who
just
practically eat
good
danger
versus
for
evil.
breakfast.
That's
Which,
interesting. It's
you know,
always more
just adds to the
compelling when
whole
a villain
spooky
has believable motivations.
But
right?
amidst
It's
all
something
this
beyond
talk of
just wanting
shadows
to
and
rule the
whispers,
world.
Totally.
Adam picks up on
And get
something.
this, Adar shows a surprising tenderness
Interesting,
towards
to say the
orcs.
least.
Now that's not
See, while
something
everyone
you
else is
see every
freaking out
day.
about what's
Now,
lurking
that is
outside the wall,
unexpected. It definitely
3 of those
challenges
missing
our
cadets,
preconceived notions
they
of
were
who and
practically
what a villain
chomping at
should
the bit
be.
to get out there.
Makes you
Almost
wonder
like they were
what's
looking
his
forward
story.
to it.
Right.
As if
It's like he's
whatever's
flipping the
out there
script wasn't
on
a
us, making
threat,
us
but a
question everything we
promise.
thought
Exactly.
I love that.
And that just
The
screams
villain who makes you
suspicious, right?
think.
It's like they knew
Makes you
something, or
question
maybe
your
they were
assumptions.
meeting someone.
That's what makes great
But
storytelling.
before we can
isn't it?
dive deeper into
And
that
the
rabbit
reviewer
hole,
is
the
all
author hits us
praise
with this
for
scene,
Joseph
this
Mall's performance
encounter.
as Adar.
Remember that patrol
They
we
say
mentioned, the
he
one coming
brings
back
this
from beyond the wall?
quiet
Oh, yeah, the ones
intensity,
who
this
barely made it
mystery
back
to the
alive.
role.
Well,
can
we
see
get a
that. He
front row
definitely has
seat
a
to their
presence
welcome
on
home
screen.
party.
And they love
And
how
trust
Adar
me,
raises all
it
these
ain't
questions
pretty.
about elven
This
history,
thing
hinting at a
attacks.
past that's
And we're not
way
talking
more
about some wild
complicated than
animal
we
here.
might think.
This thing
It's
is
like he's a
massive,
walking, talking
tentacles
enigma.
dripping with
A
slime.
key to unlocking
the
some
stuff
hidden
of
truths
nightmares.
about
Straight out of a
Middle-earth's past.
Lovecraftian
Okay,
fever
now
dream.
on to Theo.
But there's
The
this
reviewer
one detail
loves
that
his
really sets it
proactive
apart.
nature.
Sends
He's not just
chills
talking
down
about
your
doing
spine.
things. He's actually out there
Runes.
taking
Not
action.
just any
A
runes,
doer,
though, right?
not a
No,
talker.
these are different.
I like
These are the
that.
bone
Especially
runes, the
compared to
ones that
some other
even that
characters who
wall
seem to
can't
be stuck in
completely
endless
shut down.
deliberation.
They
Right,
pulse
and the
with
source
this
makes a really
raw,
interesting
primal
comparison,
power,
saying
like
that some of
nothing we've
Theo's
seen
scenes
before.
are
And you know, it's
directed like
bad
a
news
video
because later
game.
on,
Oh, that's a
we see
unique
Adam doing his
perspective.
whole
I can
detective
see
thing,
it,
going
though.
over the
That
details
sense
of
of
the case.
urgency,
And he
the
mumbles
quick
something about
cuts,
these
the
bone runes.
focus on action.
Yeah, they
John,
talk about
the
how
officer
the
in charge of
director
the cadets
uses
that
these
night,
long
he
takes and
practically
slow
jumps out
motion
of his
to
skin.
build
Like he's seen a
tension,
ghost.
almost like you're
Or
right
maybe
there
know
with
something
Theo
about those rooms
experiencing
you
the
shouldn't-
danger
Which makes you
firsthand.
wonder
It's
what's the
fascinating
connection?
how different mediums
And
can
what's John
influence
so
each other.
afraid of? The way
And
we
more
tell
importantly,
stories
what's
is
Adam's
constantly
interest
evolving,
in all of
borrowing
this?
techniques
Is he
and
really just a
aesthetics from
curious
other art
observer, or
forms.
is there
It's
something
true.
more to
And
his
speaking of
fascination
visually
with these
stunning
forbidden
moments, that
symbols?
slow
Right,
motion
because
scene
we've
in
got
the
this
forest
mystery
where
within a
Theo's
mystery now.
escaping
But in the
with the
meantime,
light
Adam
and
needs
music
leads.
building, beautiful.
And what better
The
place to
reviewer
shake
mentioned that
those
scene
loose than in
too.
the heart of
They felt it had a
Prada
bit of a
You mean
Peter
the
Jackson
arena?
vibe.
Oh, yeah.
But appreciated
Where else
the
can you find a
symbolism
healthy
and the
dose
sense
of competition
hope it
and
conveyed?
enough testosterone
Exactly.
to
It's a
fuel a
reminder
small
that
army?
even in the darkest of
But Adam's got a
times, there's
plan.
always a glimmer
And that plan
of
involves
light,
using
a
Atalia
chance
as
for
bait.
something better.
Well, more like using
And
her
that
reputation
hopeful
as a
tone,
very
it's
large,
so
very sharp
essential to
deterrent.
Tolkien's work.
So they
Couldn't
walk
agree
into
more.
this
It's
arena.
what makes his story
Atalia
so
radiating,
enduring, so uplifting,
don't even think
even
about
when
his
they delve
vibes,
into
and
the
wouldn't you know
shadows.
it?
Now
This
let's
one
swing
guy
back to Khazad
practically
Dûm.
chokes on his drink.
Remember how the reviewer
Clearly
loved
not a
the
fan of strong
Elrond
women.
and Durin the
Or maybe
Fruit's
just someone with
friendship?
something to
Well, they were
hide.
just thrilled
Ding,
with the
ding, ding.
introduction of
We have a
Durin's
winner.
wife, Disa.
Oh, because
Disa.
Adam, I loved her
Every
too. She brought
observant
such a great
he
energy to
follows
this
this
jumpy
scene.
fellow.
The reviewer called her
where does
hilarious
he
and
end
said
up?
she adds a lot of
The
charm.
shipyard of all
And
places.
it's a
Talk about
reminder
a
that
hive of
even in a
activity,
world as
thousands of
grand
moving
and epic
parts,
as Middle
people
Earth,
everywhere.
it's the
It's the
characters,
city's
those
lifeline to the
individual
outside world,
personalities
but also
that
a
truly
perfect
make
place to
it
get
come
lost
alive.
in the crowd.
Absolutely.
And
It's
lose
those
himself, he does,
relatable
slipping
moments,
into
those
this
touches of
nondescript
humor
warehouse.
that make us
Now
care
remember,
about what happens to
Adam's
these
magic.
characters.
And going
Still
back to what
running
we
on
were saying
fumes
about
thanks
the
to the wall.
reviewer's frustration with
So how
too
does he
much
plan on getting
exposition,
inside?
Don't tell
well,
me. He gets
they're
creative.
actually really
Oh, does he
pleased
ever?
with how the show is
Mirrors,
revealing
moonlight,
details about
some
dwarven
experimental
culture
bits. The guy
through
practically
the
invents a new
Khazad
school of magic
storyline.
just
They're
to
doing
peek
it
through those
organically,
warehouse
right?
windows.
Letting us
MacGyver's got
learn about the
nothing on this guy.
dwarves
And what does he
through
find? Is it our
their
jumpy
actions,
friend up
their
to no good?
interactions, their
Oh, he's
environment,
there, but he's
rather
not
than
alone.
just telling us.
Exactly.
And what Adam
it's a
sees-
subtle approach,
Well,
but it works
let's just say it
so
changes
well.
everything.
It feels
Remember how we were
natural,
talking about high
immersive.
stakes?
So
Well,
we've covered a lot
Adam's
of ground
about
here.
to up
It's
the ante
clear that the
big
Great
time.
Wave has
He's gone
given
full
our
on ninja,
source and
sneaking
probably
into
a
this
lot of other
warehouse,
viewers
magic
a
on his
real
last
mixed
legs.
bag of
What does he
emotions.
find?
Yeah, a bit of a roller
Mountain
coaster
of a
ride.
man.
Moments of
Just
brilliance,
out
moments
cold.
of frustration.
This is it. This
They
is where we
definitely
meet the
feel like
animal.
the show
and
is
trust
still
me, the name is
finding
no
its footing,
exaggeration.
trying
He's
to
huge,
balance honoring
radiating this
Tolkien's
raw
legacy
power
with,
like a
you know,
caged
creating
beast.
something new
And Adam,
exciting.
ever the
It's a
risk taker,
delicate dance,
can't help
and it's
himself.
exciting to
He's
see how
gotta
they
know more.
navigate it.
He's like a
It
moth drawn to a
definitely is.
flame.
And even with
even
the
if that flame
criticisms,
could
it's
incinerate
clear
him.
the show is
But he's also
sparking
smart.
some
He
passionate
knows better than to wake the
conversations,
beast, so he
making
focuses
people
on the
think about
jumpy guy,
adaptation,
the one from the arena.
about storytelling,
Who, as it turns out, is
about
more
what
of a
it means to
messenger
be
boy than a
faithful to
criminal
source
mastermind.
material
Yeah,
while
it
still
seems like
pushing
someone's been sending him on
boundaries.
errands.
And that's what good art
And based
should
on the
do,
fear
right?
practically oozing
Provoke
out of this
us,
guy's
challenge
pores,
us, stay
his
with
boss
us
does
not
long
mess
after
around.
the credits
And
roll.
the message.
And that's the sign
Let's
of
just
something
say it's
special,
not
right?
exactly
When it
happy
gets under your
birthday.
skin.
It's
makes
more
you
like a
think.
shopping list.
Absolutely.
A shopping
but, you know,
list that
one thing
includes
that
those
really
bone
struck me,
rooms.
and
The
it sounds
plot
like our
thickens.
reviewer felt it too,
It's like
is
someone's
that whole
baking a very nasty
coitus
cake, and we're
interruptus
just getting a
thing they
whiff
talk
of the
about with the
ingredients.
storytelling.
Coitus
And the
interruptus.
animal,
That's a,
he's the muscle.
an
And those
interesting way to
missing
put it.
cadets.
Right, but
Another
think about
ingredient,
it, like with
I'm
the
afraid.
Harfoots.
Starting
but for
and
what
ending the
purpose?
episode
That's
with their
the million-dollar
migration.
question. And
Yeah,
that's
and the
what
Numenoreans,
Adam,
all
even
geared up
running
to
on
sail
magical
from Middle-earth.
fumes, is
Exactly.
determined
It's like
to
the
find
show
out.
keeps teasing
But
us
how
with
do you
action,
track
then
something
pulling
when your
back
magic
right
is
at the last
practically
second.
Like it's
non-existent?
afraid
If you're
to
Adam,
fully commit to the adventure, to let
improvise.
things unfold
This is where we
naturally.
see
It's
that blend of
frustrating. Like, come
desperation
on,
and
just get
ingenuity
on with
that
it
makes him
already.
such a compelling
And another
character.
thing, that
He
scene with
cobbles
Isildur,
together this
hearing that
makeshift
voice,
tracker.
Oh
A
yeah,
shard of
glass,
mysterious
drop of
voice
blood,
calling his name.
whispered words
It
woven
felt a
from
bit
the
out of the
faintest
blue,
threads
didn't
of
it?
magic.
Totally random.
High
Like,
risk,
what was
high
that
reward.
about? No
and just
context,
in the nick
no
of time,
clues,
because
just
the strain
hey,
of using
Isildur,
magic
guess
in
what?
this place
It's almost
is
like they
taking
threw
its
that
toll.
in just to
He's
create
pushing
some
himself
mystery,
to the
but without
breaking
any real
point.
foundation.
And he knows
It
it.
felt
But he
forced,
manages
like
to
they were
plant
trying
that
too hard to
tracker,
be all
clinging to the
mysterious and
shadows as the
intriguing.
animal
Some folks
stirs.
call that mystery
About
box
one
storytelling,
heartbeat away from
where it's
becoming
more
the
about
main
keeping the
course.
audience
Talk
guessing
about a cliffhanger.
than
Adam's
telling a
in
coherent
way
story.
And
over
while
his
a little
head.
mystery
to his
can be
neck
fun, too
In
much
a
of it just leaves you
conspiracy that
feeling
just keeps
confused
getting
and
deeper and more
unsatisfied.
dangerous
Agreed.
with every chapter.
But let's move on to
We've
something a
got
bit
missing
more positive.
cadets, bone runes,
The
shadowy
reviewer
figures pulling
really
strings,
enjoyed
and an
Theo's
investigator
storyline in
who's
this episode.
one
His
wrong
little
step
adventure in
away
the
from a
village.
magical
Oh yeah, me
meltdown.
too. It
And
was
yet,
definitely
you
more
can't help but
action-packed than
admire
some of
his
the other
tenacity, his
storylines. And
unwavering
Theo, he was
pursuit of the
taking
truth.
charge.
He's a
Even when it
doer,
means
that's for
pushing
sure.
himself
And
to
the
the
reviewer
brink.
makes an interesting
what makes this
observation,
deep dive
comparing
so
the way some
captivating.
of his scenes
We're
are
not just following a
directed to
case, we're
video
witnessing
game.
a battle
Oh, I
of wills.
see it. That
Adam versus the
fast-paced, almost
city,
frenetic
Adam
energy.
versus his own
They
limitations,
specifically mention the
Adam
use
versus
of
forces
long
he may not even
takes and
fully
slow motion
comprehend.
during
And
Theo's
that's where we
escape,
leave you, dear
creating
listeners,
that
grappling with the
immersive, almost
unknown, just like
interactive
Adam.
feel.
Like
What
you're
secrets
right
will
there
he
with
uncover?
him,
Who's
dodging
behind the
obstacles, feeling the
disappearances?
adrenaline.
Will he find
What do
a
you
way
think
out of
about
this
that
labyrinth of
connection to
magic
video
and
games?
shadows?
Is it a
One
good
thing's for
thing, a
sure.
bad thing?
Prada Dumar doesn't give
That's
up
an
his
interesting
secrets
question.
easily, so
I
until
think
next
it
time, stay
reflects
curious,
how our
stay alert,
storytelling
and
is
for goodness
evolving,
sake,
borrowing
stay
from
away
different
bone runes.
mediums.
Yeah, we're constantly finding new ways to tell stories, new ways to engage the audience.
And speaking of engaging visuals, that slow motion scene in the forest with Theo, the light, the music.
Or like
it was
using her
just
reputation as a very
breathtaking.
large,
The reviewer highlighted that
sharp
scene as
deterrent.
well, saying that while it
So they
felt
walk into
reminiscent
this
of Peter
arena,
Jackson's
Natalia
style,
radiating,
they appreciated the
don't even think about
symbolism
his
and the
vibes,
hope it
wouldn't you know
conveyed.
it?
It's like a
This one
reminder
guy
that even in the darkest
practically
of
chokes
moments,
on his
there's
drink.
always a spark
Clearly
of light,
not a fan of
chance
strong
for
women.
redemption.
Or maybe just
And that
someone with
hopeful
something to
tone.
hide.
Ding,
That's
ding,
pure
ding.
Tolkien, isn't
You
it?
have a winner.
Even when things
Because
seem
Adam,
bleak, there's
ever
always
the
that
observant one,
underlying sense
he
of
follows this
optimism.
jumpy fellow.
Absolutely.
And where
Okay,
does he
let's
end
wrap
up?
up this part of our deep dive
shipyard,
by
of
going
all
back to
places.
Kazaki.
Talk about a hive of activity.
Remember
Thousands
how
of
much our
moving parts,
reviewer
people
loved
everywhere.
the Elrond
It's the city's
and during
lifeline
the
to the
outside
outside
world, but also
Well, they were
a perfect place to
absolutely
get lost
delighted
in the
with the
And
introduction of
lose
Darren's
himself, he
wife,
does,
Disa.
slipping into this
Disa.
nondescript
She was a
warehouse.
scene stealer.
Now
for
remember, so
Adam's
much energy,
magic.
so much humor, still
The
running on
reviewer called
fumes
her
thanks to the wall.
hilarious and
So
said
how
she
does he
just
plan on
brings a
getting
whole new
inside?
level
Don't
of
tell
charm
me.
to
He
those
gets
scenes.
creative.
She really does.
It's
Does he
great
ever?
to see
Mirrors,
strong,
moonlight,
well-developed
some female
female
characters.
characters in
The
Middle
guy
Earth.
practically
And
invents a new
remember how
school
we
of
were
magic
talking
just
about the
to peek
reviewer's
through those warehouse
frustration with the
windows.
show's
MacGyver's
tendency
got
to
nothing
info
on this
dump?
guy.
Well,
what
they
does he
were
find?
really
Is it
happy
our
with how the
jumpy friend
Kazandum
up to no good?
storyline is handling the
he's
whole
there,
dwarven
but he's not
culture
alone.
thing.
It's being done organically, right?
And
And
what
what
Adam
Adam
don't
sees,
tell.
Exactly.
well,
We're learning
let's
about
just say
the
it
dwarves
changes
through their
everything.
actions,
Remember how we
their
were talking about high
customs, their
stakes?
interactions
Well,
with each other.
Adam's
It
about
feels
to up
so
the
much
ante
more natural,
big time.
so much more
He's
immersive
gone
than
full-on
just having
ninja,
some characters
sneaking into this
stand there
warehouse,
and
magic
explain
on its last legs.
Okay,
And
so
what does he
as we
find?
head into the final
mountain
part
of
of
a
our
man,
deep dive,
just
it's
out
clear
cold.
that the Great
This
Wave
is it.
has
This
left
is where
our
we meet the
reviewer,
animal.
and probably a
and
lot
trust
of
me,
other
the name
viewers,
is no exaggeration.
with some
He's
pretty
huge,
mixed
radiating
feelings.
this raw
It's a bit of a
power
bumpy
like
ride,
a
isn't
caged
it?
beast.
Highs and
And
lows,
Adam, ever the
moments of
risk taker,
brilliance
can't
mixed
help
with the
himself.
moments that
He's
leave you
gotta know
scratching your
more.
head. He's like
But
a
that's
moth
part of what
drawn to a
makes it so
flame,
interesting to
even if
talk
that flame
about,
could
right?
incinerate him.
This show
But
is
he's also smart.
definitely provoking
He knows
a lot
better
of
than to wake the
discussion, a
beast,
lot
so
of
he
debate.
focuses on the jumpy
pushing
guy,
boundaries,
the one from
trying
the
new
arena.
things.
Who, as it
And
turns
that's
out,
always
is more of
gonna
a
generate some
messenger boy
strong
than a criminal
reactions.
mastermind.
It's a reminder
Yeah,
that
seems like someone's been
adaptation
sending
is
him on
never
errands.
easy,
And based
especially
on the
when you're
fear
dealing with
practically
the
oozing
beloved
out of
and
this guy's
complex work
pores,
like
His boss
Tolkien's.
does not
But
mess
even with
around.
the stumbles,
And the message.
it's clear that the
Let's just
creators
say it's
are
not exactly
passionate
Happy
about this
Birthday.
world.
It's more
about
like a
bringing
shopping
it to
list.
life in a
A
new
shopping
and
list that
exciting
includes
way.
those bone runes.
And that's
The
what makes it
plot
worth
thickens.
watching, right?
It's like
Even if it's not
someone's
perfect,
baking a
it's
very
getting
nasty
people
cake,
talking,
and we're just
thinking.
getting a whiff of the ingredients.
Exactly, and it makes you
and
wonder, like,
the animal.
does
He's
a
the
slower
muscle.
pace
And those missing
automatically
cadets.
mean a
Another
fantasy show is
ingredient, I'm
bad?
afraid.
That's the big
But
question,
for
isn't
what
it? I mean,
purpose?
Tolkien's
That's
work,
the
it's not all
million-dollar
about,
question.
just
And that's
battles
what
and
Adam,
magic.
even
Right,
running
there's
on
so much
magical
more to
fumes,
it than
is
that.
determined to
Friendships,
find
the
out.
relationships,
But how do you
the
track
exploration of
something
good and
when
evil,
the
the
natural
magic is
world
practically
It's about those
non-existent?
quieter
If you're Adam,
moments, too.
you
The ones that
improvise.
let you
This
really
is where we
connect with
see
the
that blend
characters,
of
with the world they
desperation and
inhabit.
ingenuity that
So
makes
maybe
him
those
such a
slower
compelling
scenes, those
character.
He
character
cobbles
driven
together
moments,
this makeshift
they're
tracker, a
just as
shard of
important
glass,
as
drop
the
of
big
blood,
epic stuff.
whispered words
It's about
woven
finding
from
that
the
balance,
faintest threads of
right?
magic, giving those
High
quieter
risk,
moments
high reward.
space to
And just in
breathe.
the nick of time,
to
because
resonate
the
with the
strain
audience.
of using
So
magic
as we all
in this
continue
place is
watching
taking
the Rings
its
of
toll.
Power, maybe
He's
that's
pushing
something
himself
keep
to
in
the
mind.
breaking point.
Yeah,
And he
embrace
knows
those
it,
slower
but he
moments.
manages
See
to
what
plant
they
that
reveal about
tracker,
the characters,
clinging
about
to the
story,
shadows as the animal
about
stirs,
Middle Earth itself.
about
It's
one
all part of
heartbeat
the
away
journey,
from
right?
becoming
The
the main
ups and
course.
downs, the
Talk
quiet
about a
moments, and the
cliffhanger.
epic
Adam's
battles.
in
And who knows,
way
maybe those
over his
quieter
head.
moments
to his
are
neck
the ones that will stay
in a
with you the
conspiracy
longest,
that just
the ones
keeps
that will
getting
really make
deeper
you
and
think.
more dangerous
Well
with
said.
every chapter.
I think that's a perfect
I mean, we've
note
got
to end
missing
on.
cadets,
We've had a
bone
blast
wounds,
diving
shadowy
deep
figures
into
pulling
the Great
strings,
Wave with
and
you
an
all.
investigator
It's been a
who's
fascinating
one
discussion,
wrong step
lots of
away
different
from a
perspectives,
magical
lots to
meltdown.
ponder.
And
And
yet,
remember,
you can't
keep
help but admire
exploring
his
those
tenacity,
fantastical
his
worlds,
unwavering
keep
pursuit
those
of the truth,
conversations
even when it
going,
means
and
pushing
until
himself
next
to the
time,
brink. May your
It's what
journeys
makes
be
this deep
filled
dive
with
so
wonder.
captivating.